Howdy guys, Rex here. So we're on the end of day 2 of RX-17 live fire class. We got one of our guys out here, Dave. We had a pretty good day. How'd it go today, man?
I wish I could have hit more, but I'm certainly better than before I came.
Yeah, we actually had some interesting equipment experiences today. You're running the Nightforce? Yeah, look at him. It's all right.
Yeah.
We need to log this for future reference, but which series scope are you running?
SHV 5 to 20 by 56 and the objective.
Yep. And what was the issue we were running into with that one?
You know, I'm not entirely certain, but everyone we handed it off to calibrate for a 0 and to check kind of the indexing, they said they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly the reasons they cited, but are you privy to any of that? Or?
Yeah, the scope is not tracking. There are differences between the different Nightforce scopes. So if you're looking for a deal, if you don't plan on using the turrets a lot or something, that particular series will work pretty good. But if you're going to be indexing on the turrets for your firing solutions for long range, maybe one of the ATACRs is good. The Beast is probably the best. The NXS, is that what they call them?
Yeah, why do you think they didn't tell me this at the Bass Pro Shop?
The solid gold with Nightforce is that they custom fit the parts and they really have good quality control when they put the stuff together. And it's made in Japan. I think Light Optic works in Japan, makes them. And when they get over here, they custom fit the parts, and they have all different bins of parts, and they'll fit them. And if it's they have all the equipment, they can custom verify exactly what's going on to make sure everything's perfect. The tracking, graduation precision is good. The tracking turret reliability, you know, the overall functionality of the scope is going to be good. There's another series that's a lot more affordable. It uses the exact same parts, but they just assemble them like they do with most common over-the-counter sporting scopes.
And they market it like that too. So I went with this optic because I said, what a deal, because you look at the features list and they're almost identical.
Features are very important. Good features you have to have, but you can't just have the features have to properly work, so it's quality. And sometimes you'd get lucky and the thing would work fine. But he was one of the guys who had a gremlin on his shoulder today and it didn't work. So just be advised, if you're getting into one of those optics, it's not going to be maybe the same exact performance as one of the higher priced ones. That price is not different parts. That price goes into quality control and custom assembly. But otherwise, they're real good optics. They use good parts, but just be advised. And Nightforce is going to treat you good. They'll make sure you get one that works, man. So you're not up the creek. But when you come to a class, it just kind of sucks.
Sure.
But also visiting with Dave here. He's a pretty cool guy. And you're actually running for
State Senate, Oklahoma.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about that, man.
Well, it's an interesting district. I found out actually the current Secretary of the EPA, Scott Pruitt, worked for his campaign about a decade ago when he was running for Attorney General, and he eventually did become the Attorney General of Oklahoma. He's now the Secretary of the EPA, doing great work there. I'd like to continue the spirit of his work in the State Senate. He's big on deregulation, so am I. I think that people have to understand that necessarily every government regulation is a limit on liberty.
Yeah.
It is a limit on personal freedom. And when we phrase it like that and help the public understand that that's precisely what it is, I think that we'll have an easier time with the liberty agenda in the nation and on a state level.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I know that a lot of times, I mean, there's a certain amount of obviously regulation that may need to occur, but it seems like these guys are getting carried away. So a lot of times they frame it like, we don't want to build roads, we don't want to maintain bridges, we don't want the kids to be educated.
No, not at all. Yeah, well, you know, of course, yeah, some regulation is necessary, but I like the 10 Commandments. I think that's a pretty good framework.
Yeah.
I think you can really get your head around that. It can apply to a lot, and man, I hope I really get into some trouble saying that, because that's what I like, you know?
Well, you know, keeping it simple is a good thing. The spirit of the law, whether that be the U.S. Constitution, is relatively straightforward. The more convoluted it gets, The more red tape they create actually is counterproductive. A lot of regulations are created by the people who are in competition with other outfits, and there's a little bit of money going under the table sometimes.
Yeah, PJ O'Rourke famously said, it's one of my favorite quotes of all time, as soon as buying and selling, I'm paraphrasing now, are controlled by the legislator, the first thing to be bought and sold is the legislator.
Yeah. and so the reality is a lot of times people don't have the exact honest intentions. And so living by a simple set of standards.
Not politicians, Rex. No. You can trust us.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Forgive me. But it's just a fact of the matter that, sometimes the more red work and the more of a labyrinth they create, and they sell it like this is here to protect you. No, it's a labyrinth that they create that is an obstacle for other people that's not them, but they can navigate through it. And so that's how they do it.
Oh yeah, we see it clearly. You've got all of these laws and sets of laws that are countless. I would challenge anyone who disagrees with me to name the number of laws that they are subject to.
Yeah.
Just give me the number, okay? Not a single person I have met can meet my challenge. So if ignorance of the law is no defense of it, you are necessarily a criminal. And we don't live in, I don't think that we live in 1984 yet. That's something that, not for a lack of trying, mind you. Not for a lack of trying.
That's right. And I was just thinking, when we're talking about laws in this labyrinth they create, it's...
Stalin, that was the point I was going to. Stalin always said, show me a man and I'll show you a crime. So if you don't necessarily know, all right, if you can't know the number of laws, how do you know you're not a criminal? Just because you say, I have, nothing to hide, so I have nothing to fear. Well, is that the case? Please tell me all the laws you're subject to. And so I just want people to not trust me and not trust people like me. I want an easy standard that is equal. We have the Clinton justice system, obviously, of one set of rules for people like Comey, right? And the Clinton, I don't want to end up...
You're offending me. I'm getting offended.
Yeah. But what would happen? Wait, what would happen to you if you said? Well, I think the excuse was that she was unaware of the rules pertaining to classified document handling. So I challenge anyone. Why don't you test case this one the next time you get pulled over? I was unaware that I had to come to a complete stop at the sign officer, so certainly I'll get off, right?
Well, Hillary Clinton didn't know that it was illegal, that when they request you to hand over all the hard drives and stuff, that you can't smash the hell out of them with claw hammers and all that stuff and then throw them in the garbage and pretend
she was like a construction worker or something, right?
Yeah,
Before
she didn't know.
Got into politics. She wasn't an attorney, was she?
You can't blame her, really.
Yeah.
But no, it's a mindset that if you think about like the shootings and stuff, right? So people are very quick a lot of times with gun laws, like, hey, we need to have more gun laws that make it more illegal not to murder a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, it's just redundant.
Like it's already, I don't know, it's illegal to murder the hell out of people.
Yeah.
That's
Comes
actually
with the penalty
illegal.
of death. So where do we go from death?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So they add more and more and more weight to a sinking ship rather than lightening the load and trying to keep it afloat. So it's an interesting paradigm that we've kind of gotten ourselves into. And it's cool to talk to guys with their heads screwed on semi-straight. And really,
emphasis semi.
If you think about it, man, really, the people are supposed to be in charge of the country.
Yes.
And if we can restore that, the less power that criminals have potentially, or people that have created the labyrinth, so to speak, if we can give that back to the people, I think that we would actually be better off. And it's worth a try. And for certain states like Oklahoma ain't too bad compared to some.
Sure.
And you can do case studies and you can look at states where they're incredibly crazy overboard on that stuff, and people don't want to live there. They move to places like your state.
California, Oregon, Washington State, New York. Why don't we look at how the economies are doing in the bluest of the blue states and compare to the reddest of the red?
Yeah.
The reddest of the red are doing quite well, as evidenced by the great exodus of members from the left coast, the People's Republic, to the United States of America, places like Texas. Yeah. Being a little bit funny there, tongue in cheek, but it's no joke. And it's one of these things that, it's a disturbing trend when you really study, what influences decision making with people. A lot of times it's not facts or information, it's emotion. And, you know, you'd think it's a strange logical proposition to say, I'm leaving a place because the economy is completely wrecked due directly to the economic policies implemented by, you know, the leftist state there. And then come to a place like Texas, right, that ostensibly is better, and then vote for the same policies that destroyed where you came from.
Yeah.
But we see this.
Yeah.
And this is another reason why, you know, the immigration issue is so important. You know, people that come here from certain places across the world, by a margin of up to 80%, vote for more government. They vote for socialism. They vote for what they've experienced there. It's not that they're bad people. It's that they're human people. And we tend to have a bias towards what we know.
Yeah,
we like
normalcy bias. And I understand how that works. But I'm excited that you're running, man. It's cool to meet you at a shooting class, you know. So
we like guns in Oklahoma.
Yeah, tell us a little more about like where people can learn more about what you got going on.
Well, on Facebook, while I'm still on Facebook, they like to censor a lot of my posts. So I'll talk more about that later.
Have you been kicked off yet?
Haven't been kicked off yet, but I have just straight posted news stories that are validated from non-conservative outlets, and these posts have been removed due to terms of service.
That's always a good sign.
Violations.
I knew I would like you.
So you can just type in my name, David Dambroso, Dambroso, on Facebook, and click tabs, click pages. You can like my public figure page. I haven't converted it to a state senate page. I might not ever. I kind of like how it's running now. I like the responses I'm getting. Not many likes yet, but hopefully we'll change that. But a lot of circulation. So I only have about 750 likes right now, but some of my posts are getting 13,000, 15,000 interactions, and it's cool. People are seeing them, and I post, you know, like the gun facts, you know, here's the CDC Obama administration's report on guns. Used 400% greater defensively than offensively, for instance.
Yeah.
You know, the areas with higher per capita gun ownership have far lower violent crime rates. This thing made its rounds, and I'm excited about it. I mean, 2A is just, Second Amendment is really, I believe, a cornerstone of a free society.
Yeah, yeah. So it's cool, man. I mean, Oklahoma's actually one of the better states. I've actually lived there for a short time back in the day.
Oh, really?
I can tell you about that later, back in the day.
Okay.
But it's one of the states that, you know, has got their heads relatively screwed on straight. So if you want to preserve that deal, it's nice to jump on board and help dudes out that are trying to be on your side. And Rex has vetted this guy. He's pretty cool. And we had a good time on the range. And he's a good sport, too. He's operating on like zero sleep. He's a hard-working guy. And he came to the class and he had a good attitude. And under extreme pressure, with no sleep, he's still able to send him in there at long range and knock the heck out of some steel, man, at long range. So it's pretty cool hanging out with this guy. And hope you enjoyed this interview. There's lots more to come. And we'll continue this in the future. It's nice meeting you, man.
I've never taken a long-range class before, but I can't imagine anybody delivering this much information in this short of a period.
Yeah, it takes a while. After you've been around a while, you kind of accumulate most of this information. Some of it falls by the wayside. Some of it you retain. At least you know it's there, and if you need to use it, you can pull on it.
And here at RX-17, more than 20 different people that had emailed me and I'd never met in person. I finally got to meet in person. It was really, really wonderful. They're actually a huge, great guys.
Like if you're a long range shooter, there's a ton of info here. Like holy shit. And he doesn't want to waste anybody's time.
Rex is of course an absolute natural. He showed us over the years that, so I wasn't surprised to see him perform beautifully because he was born for it. He is naturally an awesome presenter. So whether he does it through YouTube, on video camera, or live, and by the way, congratulations, this is beyond the full house. I really think some people snuck up on you, man. You got to double check on who paid and who didn't, because I see more than 80 people here. I see north of 100 people.
If you have not been studying long range for quite some time, I'm not saying not to come to this class. I'm saying you better put your helmet on. It's gonna go fast. You can't get information like this is gonna happen in this class. You can't get that. Like anywhere.
After spending a couple days with these guys, it doesn't feel like a community anymore. It feels more like a big family.
Yeah, it's a bunch of brothers. We all have basically a wide set of outlooks and positions and ideas in our heads, but the thing that we all have in common that brings us together is a love of the sport and a desire to get into it and do something that's really challenging and interesting. And so it's drawn us together under that common purpose. And then we find that the other differences that are out there just aren't actually that different. And even if they are, they become irrelevant.
Do you have any advice for Rex and for his future and for what he wants to do?
I'll tell you, Rex just needs to keep on doing what he's doing. He's trying to do good.
Discipline and the system that he's put together, particularly with the shooting system that he's evolved out of Dean Michaelis's hard target interdiction system, it's amazingly flexible. It's very easy to implement for people of all skill levels. So getting out there and teaching that, especially as long-range riflery, it's getting out of that fad stage into where it's really now a general curiosity. Anybody who owns a rifle is like, well, I don't want to just be limited to shooting deer at 100 yards. I want to be able to reach out and really touch something and to have a personal accomplishment that the rest of the world may not even get the chance to do because they don't have this freedom.
Keep doing. He's already well known, and he'll get better and better and better.
He's put a huge amount of his own dedication, his life, and his resources into doing this. And to meet him in person was really awesome.
We'll have a good time. The students will have a good time. You're going to get a tremendous level of information, and there are different levels of knowledge. And when I met Rex, he was really the first guy that I had met that had that kind of tier 1 level of knowledge.
This won't be the last time that you guys do this. This is the best thing that I have seen or been associated with thus far in this industry. This is really good. I think that the guys have learned a lot about this on relative to the topics and how to handle it at the next one that they do. I expect that the next one will be better and better and better, and I think that the guys that go to it are going to benefit and learn a lot.
But you're going to see some amazing things. When this company, as he builds this company and this curriculum, and it goes, I'm telling you, it's going to be a bookmark in American firearms training history. Like something is different over there, what's going on, and people will come from all over.